want to introduce our guest for the first part of this hour, and her book is called Unbullied 14 Techniques to Silence the Critics Externally and Internally. And I want you all to meet Kalyani Pardeshi. She is on the line with us now. Kalyani, how are you?
I am very well, thank you, Larry, and how are you?
Very good, thank you. I really like your book here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation about bullying. And tell us your story on why you wrote this book and how you got involved in the anti-bullying movement.
So back in 2017, I was volunteering at my daughter's school, and I was attending, it was an anti-bullying workshop, and it was very well presented. They talked about kindness and how bullying affects victims negatively and, you know, the emotional scars that it leaves behind.
Yeah.
So that was supposed to be a deterrent for bullying. And about a week to 10 days later, the bullies were at it again. So my daughter said to me, she put me on the spot. She said, "Mom, what's the point of these anti-bullying workshops if they don't work?" And I kind of realized, well, I faced bullying throughout my life, but I've developed tools, which is actually my personality, but others won't see it that way. They'll see it as tools. What if I actually wrote this down and helped people and actually gave them practical solutions instead of just saying, be kind, because it's a nice thing to do.
That's really nice. I love that you saw that everybody's talking about this in a workshop or a seminar or whatever it is, and then once this thing is over, everybody goes back to the same behavior. And you said, you know what? Wait a minute, why are we doing this? I love that. So why do bullies bully? What have you learned?
What I have learned is bullies bully because it's a cry for attention. Now, I'm not talking about a 2-year-old having a tantrum because they didn't get their lollipop. I'm talking about there is something going on in a bully's life over which they have zero control. So they act out because when you're hurt, that's what you have in your heart, and that's what you're going to give out. Mm-hmm. And hurt people end up hurting other people. And when I say it's a cry for attention, it's saying, like, I am here, I have a voice, and my voice matters. Mm-hmm. I exist. Please do not ignore me. And, you know, I read this story online, and unfortunately I don't know who to give credit to it, but it says if you're holding a cup of coffee and somebody bumps into you and the coffee spills, why did the coffee spill? It's not because somebody bumped into you, it's because you had coffee inside the cup. If you had tea inside the cup, the tea would have spilled. It's the same thing. Is that if something triggers you, whatever's inside of you is going to come out.
Interesting. Why does nobody speak up about this? I mean, you are, but people don't. People kind of look the other way when somebody's being bullied, or they don't want to get involved, or it's none of my business. Why do you suppose that is?
So there are two fears associated with speaking up against bullying. The fear that no one's going to believe you and fear of retaliation by the bully. And then, of course, if there's an innocent bystander, they won't get involved because they're afraid of getting targeted by the bully. So the first question I have, or the first thing I usually say to anyone who is battling bullying is, do you internalize the fact that you have been targeted? Because we're often in denial. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because we feel that there's something wrong with us. There's that stigma that because there's something wrong with you, therefore you're being bullied. You know, you're the weird one, you're the nerd, the geeks, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we need to accept that we're being bullied, but recognize the fact that you're being bullied because you're normal, not because there's something wrong with you. Because once you accept that this is happening, it becomes more, I don't want to say easy, but unfortunately I can't think of another word right now. Mm-hmm. It becomes easier to talk about it because then you do have the words to say, this is happening to me. What can you do to help me? And then about the retaliation, that's when you tell the person who's helping you, I'm afraid the bully is going to come after me. What are you going to do to protect me? I'm coming to you with hope and courage, and I am trusting you. What are you going to do to keep that trust?
We're visiting with Kalyani Pardeshi, who is the author of the book Unbullied, and going to have a couple of these books to give away to our audience here at the conclusion of our interview today, Kalyani, and thank you for providing those. I don't think adults understand, and you obviously got a glimpse into this world with your daughter. I don't think adults understand the pressures that kids get today and how the many ways they are bullied with many different avenues, social media, in person, school, friends, all of this. I think it's worse than when you and I were kids.
I agree. I
Yeah.
do agree.
And how are they dealing with these things now? Let's say you get bullied on social media.
So here's the thing about social media. My daughter is in junior high, and one of the things she came to me with is they're in a WhatsApp group, and there's a lot of bullying going on in that WhatsApp group. And I said to her, you realize it's as simple as taking a screenshot of that and showing it to a teacher. We need to enable our children to have the courage to do the right thing. We're so, again, with the kids, it's like, what if I become a tattle? It's not about a tattle. If it doesn't feel right, why are you letting it happen?
Right.
The problem is that we're not allowing our children to be in tune with their feelings and say, does this feel right? I don't talk about instincts because it's too big of a word for kids that age. I just say feelings. How does it make you feel? If it doesn't make you feel good, why are you letting it happen? These are your choices. And then when it comes to parenting, I also feel that, with all due respect, we're so incredibly busy that even when our children are talking, we're so busy typing on our phones and we're kind of looking up, nodding once and saying, yeah, We're not giving them that eye-to-eye contact, sit down and talk. I have a very strict rule in my home. When we sit down for a meal, we eat together. And there is no TV, no devices, nothing. We sit and we talk to each other.
Good.
Before my kids go to bed, I take 10 minutes with both of them, and I sit down and I talk to them face to face, look them in the eye,
Beautiful.
talk to me, what's going on. The other thing I will always say to parents as well is that if you want your children to talk to you, show them that you can handle what they have to say.
You have several techniques in the book, and I want to just talk about a couple of them, okay?
Sure.
Let's deal with name calling, first of all. You have a technique called the somersault. Can you describe that?
The somersault, so there's actually two areas of a name calling. I do have the somersault, and I also have the shore pumpkin method.
Okay.
The somersault is basically, there's this age-old saying that what you say to yourself becomes your inner voice, or what you say to a child becomes your inner voice. So what your bullies are saying to you becomes your inner voice. And when I talk about the somersault, I talk to my readers and I say, take what they say to you and come up with the exact opposite of what they say. So if they say you're a nerd, say, I'm intelligent. And you have to write these things down. I believe in writing things down because it commits it better to memory. It commits it better to your conscious. And you take every single thing that's said to you and you find the opposite word. And the most important thing is the opposite word has to be something you believe about yourself. You're nerdy, I'm arty. You have to believe that about yourself. It only works if you believe what you've written down about yourself. And then the shore pumpkin technique is where your bullies usually say the same things to you. And what I have done, and I give a very good example of that, is coming up with absolutely nonchalant, non-defensive responses. And I just want to quickly give an example here. As an adult, I've been bullied by a family member, and there was one specific argument where he was going at me and saying to me, well, I don't really care about you, and I don't want to see your face. And I just turned around and I said to him, you know what, that's awesome to know. Thank you very much. And this person was at a loss for words.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen them at a loss for words in 16 years. So
I was describing on the air just before our interview. I said I just went through this last week with somebody in a business deal who was trying to bully me.
Oh wow!
And I just said in the middle of he's trying to impress me on how smart he is and trying to tell me that I'm not and so forth. And I just said, stop it. You're going to talk to me like an equal adult, or we're not going to talk.
Not going to have this conversation.
Boy, he's backed up immediately, which was
exactly.
But you have to just stop it, and you don't need to put up with that, right?
No, and the thing is that a lot of people, one of the things I've taught my daughter is like when kids are mean to her, I just say, take a step back and say to them, are you okay? Why are you saying this? Do you need to talk to somebody because this is not normal?
Yeah.
And that kind of it makes them take a step back and makes them stop and think, as opposed to saying, well, don't say that. That's mean. It's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Or,
that changes the conversation right away, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Well, I love your book, and we're going to give a couple of copies away to our listeners today, and I want to thank you for providing those. Our guest coordinator, Kitty Neal, leave a message for her at 505-345-7373. And we have the first two callers who want a copy of your book can have it, Unbullied. Wow, I've enjoyed this conversation, Kalyani. Thank you so much. And I wish
Thank you
you,
very much, Larry. It's
yeah.
been amazing talking to you.
Well, thank you, and have a wonderful weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, too, okay?
Same to you. Thank you very much.
Kalyani Pardeshi, who is author of the book Unbullied. Here it is for our TV audience. And if you want a copy of the book, call our guest coordinator, Kitty Neal, at 505-343-7373. Leave your name and phone number. First two people that request a copy will receive a copy of Kalyani's book, Unbullied. Good advice.